Chris Paul, you going to start? Coming off the bench? Come on, Steve. What are you doing? What's going on?
I said this the other day. I really feel like we have 6 starters with the group. Sometimes things will just take care of themselves with an injury, whatever, where you don't even have to plan. But when we do have all 6 guys, we have a lot to think about, a lot to consider, not only who starts, but who finishes. And the only way it's going to work is if all 6 guys and the whole team, obviously, are all in and, completely aware that every night's going to be different.
Stop there. Steiny.
Yeah.
Coach, do you think everybody's all in? Because let me tell you, the season's about to start.
He doesn't know yet because the practices.
I don't like that.
What are you talking about?
What do you mean you make calls? This is not CYO. You should know now.
They can't. They have to practice before they see what they got.
But you can pick up a phone and talk to somebody before you even make the deal for him to come here. Well, hey, Chris, are you cool coming here if you were 6 man? That's how we envision you.
Here's what I'm saying.
Practice, first day of practice.
Maybe Kerr doesn't want him to be a 6th man. Did you think of that?
Well, then whatever the decision should be made by now.
No, they haven't even started practice. That's, I think, at the heart of this, Goo.
I want to know if somebody's not. Has everybody signed off on? It don't sound like it to me. Coach, if you want me to come off the bench, I'm fine with it. I don't feel like the buy-in is there.
They haven't practiced yet. But he doesn't want to declare a
This is the NBA, Steiny. Okay. These are $1 million athletes.
Okay.
My point is this is so important.
Right.
You can have that answer months ago.
It's so important you don't jam it down Chris Paul's throat. That's how important it is. The other thing is, he said,
that's a great rebuttal, but I think it's bigger than just Chris, though, I thought.
Well,
what if Chris gets the...
That's the point. I think what's going to happen is he's going to change the lineup a lot. I think a lot of guys are going to be 6th man. I think they're going to have 3 or 4 6th men during the course. Yes. Yes, I do. If you look at the Golden State Warriors, they are not afraid to tinker with their starting lineup. They never have been afraid to tinker with their starting lineup. I think there's a scenario in which Draymond may come off the bench a game or 2 here and there, or various times during the season. I think it's possible Chris Paul will come off the bench various times during the season. I think it's possible Klay Thompson might come off the bench at various times this season. Listen again. This is what I'm saying about listen to how he emphasizes the buy-in from all 6 of them.
I said this the other day. I really feel like we have 6 starters with the group. Sometimes things will just take care of themselves with an injury, whatever, where you don't even have to plan. But when we do have all 6 guys, we have a lot to think about, a lot to consider, not only who starts, but who finishes. And the only way it's going to work is if all 6 guys and the whole team, obviously, are all in and, completely aware that every night's going to be different.
Every night's going to be different.
Oh, man.
What more do we need to know? Every night's going to be different. There it is.
To appease one guy's ego.
You don't know that.
No, I'm asking. That's what it would be because you've never done it before like this.
Yes, he has.
You've never not to be afraid to sit somebody down that's new. I'm just saying, it's never been done for not to hurt somebody's feelings.
Listen,
Chris, but let's be honest, put the right on the table. It's how Chris Paul's going to react to coming off the bench. It's why all this is being talked about. And I don't like any of it.
So, in a crazy kind of way, what basketball's all about is competition. It's like, why would you denote Chris Paul as, we got to have him playing the 6th man when he hasn't even been on the court. He hasn't been on the court at all. How do you think that rubs Chris Paul? How do you think it would sound to Chris?
I told you, it's killing him. Remember, and that's why I was so demonstrative about him not wanting to come here because he's a gladiator. But, Steiny, that's at the bottom of my list. I got a starting 5 that's won 4 chips, and I'm going to tinker it because we went out and got this guy?
They've tinkered with it while they got 4 chips. They've taken Looney out of the starting lineup at various times. I want to say Gary Payton started at various times.
I feel like, Steiny, that was more organically and about basketball.
Well,
this is about ego. This is about ego in a starting streak that this guy has that we can't ignore. And he should be damn proud of it. And he probably sees himself different than the team might want to see him. I don't know what's going on in Lakerville, Clipperville, Sixerville, but we got all this ruckus out of town when you got rid of Jordan Poole because the Warriors and their fans had to deal with an unfortunate situation last year, and now we're dealing with Feelings Gate? Because that's what this is, feelings.
Well, that's your assumption. That's your assumption that it's all about appeasing Chris Paul's feelings. It might be about how do we be the best basketball team we could be? Could that possibly include Chris Paul starting? Is there a situation where Chris Paul starts and we are a better team than if he comes off the bench if we mess with the starting lineup? 888-957-9570 is the number. What'd you hear Steve Kerr say in this? Take another listen, because what I heard is I think we're going to have multiple starting lineups depending. And you tell me if you heard differently. 888-957-9570.
I said this the other day. I really feel like we have 6 starters with the group. Sometimes things will just take care of themselves with an injury, whatever, where you don't even have to plan. But when we do have all 6 guys, we have a lot to think about, a lot to consider, not only who starts, but who finishes. And the only way it's going to work is if all 6 guys and the whole team, obviously, are all in and completely aware that every night's going to be different.
Every night's going to be different.
He did say it.
I
didn't take that as a different lineup, but
I did. I absolutely did. 888-957-9570 is the number. Warriors Media Day is Monday, and we'll be out at Chase Center along with the morning roast, and hopefully we'll be getting a lot of players to pop by, and it should be a real fun day.
Yeah.
You guys are making this 6-man thing too significant. Nope. No, we're not.
This is about it ain't about the 6-man. It's about the team.
No, it's about who's starting. It's about, Steve Kerr's basically acknowledged they don't know what to do. They do not know what they're doing.
Okay.
They don't know what they're doing right now.
I appreciate that.
I believe that. I believe they want Chris Paul to come off the bench, but I tell you right now, ain't nobody told him that face to face yet.
And that's why you coaching was real.
And so Steve Kerr's saying, look, we're gonna practice on Monday or Tuesday, and we'll try different combinations, and we're going to see. But as of right now, I get the sense that Chris Paul's that they're not going to have the same starting 5 every game. I think they're going to have a different starting 5. I don't want to say every game, but I think there's going to be certain starting 5s over the course of the season that we're going to get used to. That's just me. 650 says it's all about the matchups. Best 5 who match up with the opponent. Yeah, I think so.
415 Steiny Comcast Business text line. Guru sounded like a lion, but will be more like a lamb Monday at the facility. No, it's the ideology behind all this. I just, like the move happened, I get it, but I am flabbergasted, Steiny, that how you just said it and set it up about, and I get why Chris Paul would not want to come off the bench. I think it's bigger than a lot of people think.
It's huge.
When we're talking about Mike Dunleavy Jr., the new GM, talk about connectivity, this is huge. And let me tell you, Dre and Clay they ain't coming off the bench.
You know what's funny? Actually, it's not funny. But Tim Kawakami wrote a story earlier this week on Wednesday, and he addressed the Chris Paul situation, and he acknowledged, he believes that Chris Paul probably is going to come off the bench, at least at times. But what he also said was the two, and Kawakami doesn't, somebody whispered.
Okay.
He said the 2 leading candidates to come off the bench were Looney and Klay Thompson.
What? The Looney part I get. That's why we love Looney. What do you need me to do? But Klay?
See, this is where you all lose me.
Clay?
Because if Steve Kerr somehow believes that it's better for the team to start Chris Paul and Steph Curry and bring Clay off the bench, if he's got a basketball reason for that, I guarantee you Warrior fans, they still shouldn't do it. Don't do it. Don't do that
you
to Clay.
think?
Yes. Don't do that to Clay. George is in San Jose.
George.
Hey, George, how you doing?
Hey, doing well, thanks, guys. Just wanted to chime in on what you guys are talking about and what you haven't said yet that will probably cure all of this. Steph Curry will come off the bench because that's the kind of guy he is, and he'll show it's not a big deal. And from that, that'll put away the Chris Paul or anybody else coming off the bench because our leader is going to show that he's a big enough person to do something like that. He's done it already. So it doesn't matter who's coming off the bench, like you guys say. It's who's going to finish.
I like that.
Does Clay shoot?
You like that?
No, I'm about to tell him.
Shooting well? Is he hot? We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We got 5 starters. Like that's a great problem to have. Our team is better this year already than last year. They got rid of Poole, which was amazing. We got Chris Paul on a 1-year contract. We can get out of that. We have an option to go get Drew Holiday. Maybe not going to happen. But this organization is just working it really well. And I wish the other organizations in the Bay Area, well, the ones that I'm a Raider fan, so those guys, they don't know what the hell is going on. I wish Lacob would pick up the phone and try to buy the Raiders and use his magic with them because we're going to be good. We're going to be real good this year.
All right. Thanks, George. Appreciate it. We'll see.
Yeah. And, I mean, Hayes too, George. Maybe he can make that call, but this ain't a Disney movie, man. Steph Curry is the best player on your team. He's not going to come off the bench. This is not an after-school special to show, if I come off the bench, anybody can. Now, has he done it? Yeah, and he was injured. Has he took one for the team? Yeah, but if we could get Steph Curry for 48 minutes, that's the goal. And I know that's unrealistic, but to think now the Kawakami thing has me spinning. Like, I'm all for it, but if Clay were to do that, wow.
That's something I actually don't see. But
Clay?
He may know something that we don't. 415, what I heard from Kerr is he has 6 starters, and he's going to load manage and stagger someone every game. Yep, I kind of think you're right. I kind of agree with that. Let me listen to another piece of Kerr.
I really look at our season a year ago, and even before we got Chris, my goal was to find a balance between the pace and the execution. I mean, last year we were number 1 in pace and 30th in turnovers, and that's not a combination that's going to win a championship. And so even before we got Chris, I had this goal of cutting back turnovers, but finding a pace that suits us best. Chris will help us do that automatically, and I think it's going to be a case where we're going to sort of meet halfway. He's going to, when he's playing with Steph, especially, he's going to throw the ball ahead or run ahead and generate more pace than he's used to. And then at the same time, we're going to pull back and execute more often when we need to. What I've found in my career, though, is smart players figure it out quickly. And when you put a bunch of smart, talented guys on the floor together, it really isn't that big of an adjustment.
Maybe Draymond comes off the bench. Who knows? Who knows? The thing I like that Kerr's doing, though, is he's acknowledging they don't know what they're going to do. And I truly believe that. I don't think Steve Kerr's like, he's going to come off the bench. We just got to figure a way to jam it down his throat.
And you almost got to give him credit. And that piece you talked about from Kawakami, Steiny, I love a good analogy, but he kind of compared it to the Wiggins shot. And that was fascinating. Just like you said, they didn't bombard him, force him. He kind of did it on his own. I just don't see the Draymond Green that I know and respect ever for anybody saying, I'll come off the bench so your ego can be stroked or you keep your record going.
But what if it's not about ego? What if it's that Steve Kerr believes they can be better with Chris Paul in the starting lineup because what he can do later in a game with Draymond coming off the bench actually makes them a better team. They may have to take a unit off the floor at the start of the game, but what if they're a better team throughout the 48 minutes of the game? then to me, it's not about an ego. It's about, well, do we want to put the best team out there we can or not? So it is an issue, whether you like it or not. And I don't know how it's going to play out.
I can't wait.
I'll tell you right now, let me tell you what it's not going to say. Chris Paul will not come off the bench every night. There's no way he's coming off the bench every night. And I don't think there's going to be any way he comes off the bench like 8 times. I think he's going to play a lot as a starter. Like half the time almost.
Oh, man.